Number 12 tells us we're in quadrant 4, and it says x over y. Might help to actually look at the directions. If r is a positive number, r is always going to be positive because that's going to be the hypotenuse, right? And the point xy is in the indicated quadrant. Decide whether the given ratio is positive or negative. Okay, you guys should be able to figure this out. We're in quadrant 4, so do yourself a little doodle. Okay, so you got x here and y there, so it should always make sense. That's x is going this way and y is going this way. The only one that's got issues is y. So when you stack this thing, you still have positive x, but now you have negative y. So that thing will be negative. Option A is what you need. Alright, so number 13. 13, you got to go back and use unit circle. Cosine 360 minus 5, sine 90. Okay, so if you'll draw one unit circle and label it, you should be able to go off of it. But when you take your test, you're probably going to do lots of little unit circles here and there. Just get used to doodling them. And remember, it's cosine, sine. So, if you're looking for 360, that's over here. Cosine is the first one, so that would be 1. That takes up this whole thing. Bring down your minus. Now the 5 is out front, and then you're going to tell me what sine of 90 is. Sine is the back one. That's a 1. Then you just work it out. 1 minus 5, negative 4. That would be option A. Alright. We're moving on. Number 14. Similar. Cotangent 90. 6. Cosine 180. 3. We got secant squared 0. So you better know your stuff here. You can't just ride on sine, cosine, and tangent here. You've got to know how the reciprocal functions correlate to the unit circle. Yeah, buddy, I was mean. Yes, I picked this problem on purpose. You know, kind of want to apologize for that, but not really. Okay. Remember, tangent is sine over, it's sine over cosine. Okay. So, if you're doing cotangent of 90, come up here, 90 degrees, and if you're doing cotangent, remember you want cosine up top. So do cosine's value over sine's value. Well, cosine is 0 and sine is 1. Okay, come to the next part. Bring down your 6. Now, cosine of 180. That's not too bad. Come over here to 180, grab your cosine value. Pop him in. Alright, keep going. You got your 3. Now make sure you don't lose your square. Square goes out there. So secant. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So I'm going to do 1 over whatever cosine is. So let me see, where am I? 0 degrees. 0 degrees is over here. Cosine is 1. I put him down there. So then it's just a matter of working it out. I mean, honestly, you could put that in your calculator, couldn't you? So that's a 0. Oops. I need negative. So that's going to be negative 6. Now, don't forget, power comes first. So keep your 3. That's 1 squared, which is just 1. So negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. So it's not too terribly bad. But you do have to wake your brain up. Okay. So let's move on. Book number 15. Alright, it says cosine theta if you know that secant theta is negative 5. Okay. So you can read the instructions, use the appropriate identity to find the indicated function value, rationalize the denominator if applicable. Basically, what in the world is the relationship between cosine and secant? They're reciprocals, right? So if you want to get cosine, you take negative 5 and you turn that booger upside down. So that would be negative 1/5. There's nothing to rationalize. It's just option C. Now see, I do have some easy questions in with the nasty ones. Okay, so tangent if cotangent is square root of 5 over 6. So again, you've got to know reciprocals. When you turn that thing upside down, you've got to know, okay, that's going to be 6 over square root of 5, rationalize it, and you're done. Most of you probably rationalize it in your head. So option D for number 16. All right, 17. It looks terrible, but it's really not that bad. And if you've done your homework and you've kept up with your homework, you've probably done some problems like this. Okay, what's the relationship between secant and cosine? Hopefully what pops in your brain is their reciprocals. Well, check out how this sucker is written. It's already written that secant is 1 over cosine. It's written as a reciprocal rule. So that means these things are equal. So that means this angle here has to be equal to this angle here. All you're doing is setting the angles equal. So you got, that's supposed to be 7 theta. 7 theta plus 39 equals 10 theta minus 6. Work it out. So 3 theta equals 39 plus 3 is, I do believe, 45. 3 goes in there 15 times. And that's option B. So just make sure you're recognizing your identities. Y'all had to write the reciprocal identities for me, so it shouldn't be too bad. On number 18, same kind of question that I ask you on quizzes. You know that tangent is less than 0, and you know that sine is less than 0. Where does that happen? Well, if you remember, you'll all students take calculus. Well, just start canceling out. Tangent is positive in the first and the third. Sine is also positive in the second. So the only place where they're both going to be negative is in the fourth. So that's the one you need. Option A. So just process of elimination will get those. Okay. 19's not hard, it just looks a little funky. So cosine 432 and sine 432. Now what they want you to do with that, it says give the signs of the trigonometric functions. And it's just like English class. You want to keep it in the same order. So when they're looking at the answer options, that first sine goes with cosine and the second goes with sine. So now look, 432. Take your circle off so you know what in the world you're talking about. 432 minus 360 is 72 degrees. Okay, think about it like that. Go coterminal with it. Alright, so if you're in first quadrant, sine and cosine are both going to be positive. That's all you need. Option A. So, but if it was anything different, just go back and relate it to your all students take calculus and figure it out. Alright, number 20. We have sine of theta equals 3.19. The instructions say decide whether this statement is possible or impossible. This goes to those ranges that we talked about. Remember, sine and cosine they're supposed to be wedged in between -1 and 1. And secant and cosecant, they're going to be negative infinity up to -1, and then they start over at 1 and go forever. And tangent and cotangent can be anything on the planet. So, can sine be equal to 3.19? No, it's too big. It's not in that little range there. So this cannot be so. That would be A, impossible. And then 21, same idea. Tangent equals, and it really doesn't matter what the number is. Tangent and cotangent can be anything. So, I mean, if you just really want to put the notes down here, that's from negative infinity up to positive infinity. They can, any number on the planet. There you go. Anything's possible. So if you see tangent or cotangent, you don't even have to think. Mark possible. Okay, moving on to 22. It says find tangent if 1 is 3/4 in quadrant 2. All right, so your job, draw. So this is why I tried to put extra space on the thing so you had doodle space. Quadrant 2, give us a triangle, and let's label. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is 3, hypotenuse is 4. Okay, now they're trying to mess with your brain because they threw a 3 and a 4 at you, okay? So don't fall for it. The other side is not 5. If it was a 3, 4, 5, the 5 would have to be the hypotenuse. Okay, so don't get suckered in. You have got to go through and do the Pythagorean theorem. 3 squared plus something squared equals 4 squared. So 9 plus x squared equals 16. So x squared equals 7, x equals square root of 7. So, and remember, always pause and put in your signs. So -7 needs to be negative. All right, if you do tangent of that angle, tangent is opposite over adjacent, so opposite is 3, adjacent's negative square root of 7. When you fix that, square root of 7 goes up top, it's freed up in the bottom. Just let the negative rise to the top. That's option D. Okay. You've got another one that's worded just about the same way. Find secant. If you know that tangent is 3/4, and they're telling you quad 1. Good thing about quadrant 1, you don't have to worry about signs. Everybody's positive. So now, this is opposite over adjacent. So opposite is 3, adjacent is 4. This is your Pythagorean triple. So your hypotenuse is 5. Now, my brain doesn't do secants. I've told y'all that before. Secant is cosine turned upside down. So I'm going to do cosine and then flip him. Cosine is, let's see here, adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine is 4/5. So my secant is going to be 5/4. So that's what I need. Option C. That just keeps, if I work with reciprocals, it keeps me from having to memorize all 6. I can work off 3 of them instead of 6 of them. Alright, we got time for like 2 more. 24 gives you a triangle. And it says find the exact values of the indicated trig functions. Now it is important where the letters are. A is up here and B is there. So you've got to pay attention to perspective. This says A, so look from A. So sine of A, opposite's down here. That would be 44 over 55. Obviously that's 4 over 5 when you take the 11 out. So cosine is going to be basically 3 over 5. So when you find those, let's see here, sine 4 over 5, that's A. Okay. See if we can work one more. 25. It says, let's do tangent of 60. It says do it without a calculator. The reason it's saying that is no decimals are allowed. Please don't just draw a triangle out in the wide open. Put him in standard position. That way, if they ask you something, you get your signs right. Make it a habit to always put it in the circle. If you don't put it in the circle, you can mess yourself up. So tangent of this, opposite over adjacent, square root of 3. Where is he? That's option B. Okay. All right, got to stop it here. We'll pick up on the next one on problem 26.